Welcome to our last PI prime time of the semester. My name is Lori Furibando. I am the Senior Director for Research Development here at NTID, for those of you that have not met me yet. Today's presentation will mainly focus on finding funding opportunities using Grant Forward. However, I want to briefly talk about some tips and tricks relating to finding funding opportunities before we dive into a live demo of Grant Forward. I thought I would start off with this funny cartoon. The one gentleman is saying, I asked Santa for a research grant, and the other person is saying, you still believe in research grants? This always makes me chuckle because we all wish it would be easy to ask Santa for a research grant, but some folks do get, weary of trying to find research grants that fit their research. So it is very frustrating and an overwhelming process. So that's why I'm going to talk about a few tips and tricks here. Number one, you will hear us research administrators say this at every step along the way of a research process is start early. I cannot stress that enough. There are so many reasons why you need to start early. First, when you're looking for research grants, you never know when the deadline is going to be. It could be next week, and maybe it was a really interesting opportunity that you were really excited about, and you find out it's due next week. There's no way that you could pull off a whole proposal in a week. So that's one reason to start early. What about people who already have research grants? You should also start early looking and not wait until your grant's coming to an end. When you apply for a research grant, it can take anywhere from 6 to 10 months to even find out if you're funded. And if you're not funded, and you have to resubmit, which is more commonly, then that's another 6 to 10 months. So even though you're currently funded, it doesn't hurt. You should always be looking for funding. Also, look under every rock. Experienced researchers all know our bigger funders, right? Our federal funders like NIH, National Institutes of Health, and the NSF, National Science Foundation. But there's a lot of other smaller organizations and foundations out there, so don't limit yourself. Also, focus your search. I know it's, easy to just go ahead and, cast a wide net and just apply for anything, but you really want to focus your search and apply for those that really fit your research and what fits you to be successful. So for example, if you're an early career researcher, you don't want to apply for grants that require an experienced researcher because you're lowering your chances of being successful. So focus your search. Here are some helpful tips once you identify a good sponsor or a good opportunity. You should review funded grants. What is that sponsor already funded? This will give you a good sense of what they're looking for. Also, some researchers are happy to share their proposals. So when you're looking up funded grants, you might want to reach out to someone who was funded and ask them questions or talk with them. A lot of researchers are happy to assist. And if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. But what does it hurt to ask? Align your research interest with the sponsor's interest. This is very crucial, and a lot of researchers have trouble making sure that they are in line with the sponsor. So you can search the website, check out the mission statement, their vision, but it leads us into our next bullet item. Contact the program officer. I've been in research administration now for about 10 years plus. And when I first started off, it was amazing, the myth of not contacting a program officer. Researchers would be so intimidated. They thought they would ruin their chances of being funded if they reached out. They were worried about saying the wrong thing. That's not true, especially our big funders, NIH, NSF, even in their guide, they strongly encourage faculty to reach out to them, share your idea. Is it a good fit? Have a conversation with the program officer. And yes, there are some program officers that might not respond to you like anybody in academia, but there are a lot of good program officers out there. And if they think that your proposal or your idea might be a better fit someplace else, they'll let you know. They're not hiding anything. There's no secrets. So please, I really strongly encourage you to reach out to program officers. That is one of the biggest resources. Read and reread the solicitation. I cannot stress this enough. You will never read the solicitation just one time. You will always need to read it over. That is your instruction guide. And also, our department sponsored research services here at RIT, SRS, all external grants have to be submitted through them. So as soon as you identify a solicitation, which is the actual instructions of the grant that you want to apply to. So it's very specific to that grant application. Different sponsors call it different things. So like NIH might call it a program announcement, or you might see an RFP, request for a funding proposal. There's a lot of different terms, but what it is, it's essentially what you're applying to, the specific grant that you want. And it has detailed instructions. And you want to send that to SRS as soon as possible, even if you don't know if you're going to apply. You want to get it on their radar. And NTID has a specific research administrator in sponsored research services. And his name is David Grames, Grames. He supports other colleges, not just NTID. So that's why we want to get these on his radar, because he can review the solicitation from an institutional standpoint. He can help make sure that we're eligible, all those things. So reach out to SRS. And I'm also a resource here, so copy me in. It's good for me to know what's being looked at out there as well. And then apply. Since this presentation is about finding funding opportunities, I will not go into the application process. However, I do want to know that when you are ready to apply, again, you need to work with SRS. You also want to start with your budget. SRS will help you develop your budget. New researchers don't think about doing the budget right away, but it is very crucial to start your budget. I have seen PIs write their whole proposal, do the budget last, and then find out there's not enough money to do the scope of their project. And they have to go back and remove some experiments and rewrite their whole proposal. So it is crucial to start your budget right away. And you also have to route an internal form here at RIT called a proposal routing form, PRF, and it requires a final budget. And there's many signatures you have to get, so this can take some time. All your senior personnel have to sign it, all their department chairs have to sign it, and the deans of all the colleges. NTID's dean is Bob Pollard. That's who we use here at this college. So he has to sign all PRFs. And his title is Associate Dean of Research. So that position does sign all of our PRFs. And my final bullet item, don't give up. It is rare to get grants first time around. You will find that you have to resubmit, pay attention to reviewer comments, and resubmit. Don't give up, don't get discouraged. I can't stress that enough. If you need some encouragement or anything, you can contact me. I can boost you up, I can help get you excited, but don't stop, don't give up. Okay. There are so many different places to go to find funding opportunities. This is why it is extremely overwhelming for faculty and researchers. I'm going to discuss a few, and then I will focus on Grant Forward. So one place to go is the sponsor's website. Going directly to their website, to our larger sponsors, can be beneficial if you know that your research might already be a good fit for them. So there's NIH, NSF. I keep using those two as examples because they are some of our bigger funders. When you go to the NIH website, you can break it down even further. You can look at their general funding opportunities, or you can go to one of the specific institutes that falls under the NIH umbrella. NSF, their search database has different filters, and you can filter by each directorate. That's what NSF calls it. There are different categories of research interest. They're called directorates. Then there's the comprehensive databases. There are a million out there. I am focusing on the three that I think are most important. And so the first one, grants.gov, it's free. It has funding opportunities from 26 different agencies, all federal. This is only federal. It includes NIH, NSF, Department of Education, NEH, National Endowment of Humanities, and NEA. And those are the main ones I'm mentioning because those are where NTID funds things. Also, NIDILRR, National Institute of Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitative Research. Foundation Directory Online is the next one. This is a comprehensive database of over 140,000 grant makers nationwide. RIT has a subscription. I'm not going into detail about this one because it's foundations and this presentation is about Grant Forward, but I did want to bring this up because our foundations department here at RIT, they manage this. They work closely, obviously, with foundations only. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned this directory as well. 90% of foundations do not have websites. When I heard that number, I was blown away. I couldn't believe that many foundations don't have websites. So using a search like Foundation Directory Online, you'll be able to find those opportunities. If you're thinking about looking for Foundation Directory Online, You can go to our foundation relations department for assistance, but I would say reach out to me first. I'm your in-college resource. I can help connect you to the right people. I have a good relationship with a lot of the foundation folks over there. And this is the one area you don't want to reach out to the sponsor first. You want to reach out to our foundation department first, and they can reach out to sponsors on your behalf or let you know when or the proper way to reach out, because they already built very strong relationships with a lot of foundations. So work with them. And like I said, I can get you in touch with the right person. And finally, Grant Forward. Grant Forward is an extensive database with over 9,000 sponsors. These sponsors vary from federal, state, foundations, corporations, international. And I think this platform is very user-friendly. I love it. It has some great tutorials that I'll talk about later. Before I get into a live demo of Grant Forward, I just want to break here for any questions or comments. Again, use your chat box, or if you want to turn your video on, that's fine as well. Just going to wait a minute here to see if any questions come in the chat. Again, I just already talked about just a brief introduction into finding funding opportunities. See, we have a question. Would you recommend starting with Grants Forward over the foundation directory online? That's a great question. And it's kind of hard to answer because they're all resources. You don't want to limit to just one search engine, but my personal preference, I would probably start with Grant Forward, because it just, it has more sponsors. It has a more variety, I should say. It's not just foundations. It has your federal and state, like I mentioned. So I would probably start with Grant Forward. But again, you know, you can also at the same time reach out to foundation relations. Thank you, Bob. Bob just put a note, a comment in the chat, and he emphasized that program officers want to have a portfolio of successful researchers. It helps them to help you. So don't hesitate to reach out. And now Bob is asking if the foundation directory online, which moving forward, we can say FDO, is the same thing as the foundation center. I'm actually not sure. I'm not sure what the foundation center is, but I can make a note of that and reach out to our foundation relations department. Thank you, Bob. So Grant Forward has several features. I've highlighted on this slide a few of the features that I'm going to go into. I do want to mention how they have excellent guides, which are PDFs, including screenshots. When I have Nancy send out the PowerPoint, I'll include the PDF of the researcher guide as well. It will show you all the screenshots of what we're going to go through today. It's excellent. It's step-by-step, easy to follow. They also have a lot of tutorials, videos, and I thought this was pretty cool. They have their own YouTube channel. And I will say that all the tutorials are closed caption. However, some of their YouTube videos, and maybe all of them, I didn't go through them, there's so many, There's no sound, so there's no closed caption button. So I wanted to mention that the closed caption button doesn't appear because there is no sound. It is a nice video of the actual website. You'll see the mouse cursor moving around. They'll do little pop-ups about what they're clicking on. Easy to follow. And all their content, which I just found from doing this presentation when I was researching everything, has been updated in the past few months. That's because some of the materials more clear, they created more videos, and they've added new features since I've used this last. So really exciting to see that they're constantly improving. Okay, this is the Grant Forward website. There is a lot that I could go over. I'm going to focus today on the areas that you just saw on the last slide. I do have notes because there's a few things that I want to make sure I mention and not forget them. So I will be looking down at my handwritten notes here. Okay, so for the purpose of today, we are going to use Bob as our guinea pig and create his account. So first, when you first come to the screen, you want to create an account by clicking sign up. Oh, hold on 1 second, sorry. You must use your RIT email or else it won't work for our subscription. I think I forgot to mention that, sorry. RIT subscribes to Grant Forward. It is not free. RIT pays for a university subscription. So you're just going to enter your email, your name, a password. It looks like our, since RIT, it located RIT because I used Bob's RIT email. So now you can see from the drop down that the colleges are listed in there. And you want to make sure you click researcher. Unless you're a student, this is free for students, faculty, staff, anybody with an RIT email, pretty much. And then click create my account. At this time, a confirmation email is being sent to Bob. So I asked Bob to, at this time, go check his email. There should be a confirmation link or something to click. And I noticed they mentioned this in the guide as well, to check your spam folder as well. So that must be, sometimes it might not go through. RIT might block it.
Hi, I got the email and I clicked the, confirm thing. And then I got a different screen that just says, it's like, do you want to log in now? And then it's asking me to put down my email again and my password. Do you want me to do that?
Perfect. Thank you, Bob. We're all set. So that's how quick it takes to create an account here with Grant Forward. Now, I think I'm going to jump ahead to discuss, once you have an account, you also want to create your researcher portfolio. Now, I'm not going to show all the screens here because there's quite a bit to fill out. But what you do is you click over here. I hope everyone can see my cursor moving on the screen. So you click the Researchers tab and then click Create Profiles. And then you click Begin Building. Then I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm going to go through what it will then ask you. So first will come up your basic information, which will just be like your email will default and then your name again. And then the next section is research interests. And this is where you want to enter your publications. You can enter your publications 3 different ways. You can do an interest source where you can find your publications by entering a URL. You can upload a CV PDF with publications. But if you use this option, you're going to want to make sure you review for any errors. Or you can manually copy and paste a citation. And then you can add other interests and get more specific. When you're building your profile, the next area would be extra information. And this is where you'll enter your education, your biography. You could add a photo. You could link to home pages if you have a lab website, something like that. And also you're going to have profile options. There's a viewability section where you can choose private or public. Private means all RIT. Public is for anybody with a grant forward profile. So any institution or anyone. And you can choose what you want to display. So if you want to display for people to see your basic information, your research interests, your publications, your recommendations. And this is also where you can choose if you want to receive grant recommendations. And you can choose daily, weekly, monthly. And once your profile is built, anytime you want to go back and look at your profile, you would click on researchers again. And then you have the option to look at your profile and edit your profile. And you can search for other researchers. This whole process, setting up your research profile, should only take about 5-10 minutes. And it'll help with your searches. So I strongly encourage you, if you're going to use Grant Forward, you really should make sure you build your profile and be thorough and add your information. Okay, let's dive in. How do you use Grant Forward to search? So across the top, you're going to click on the Grants tab and then search grant opportunities. Oops. That was something I was testing. At this time, if anybody wants to put a search idea in the chat, we can try a search. Right now, we're just going to do the one bar, the all of the key words or phrases. And I want to mention that if you want to use an exact phrase, you want to put it in quotes. I don't see anything. I will use the example I was using before. I was just looking up substance abuse. So when you search, you click search. So right away, you can see how many results turn up, 331. Then once all these come up, you can choose different sorts. You can sort by the relevance to what you entered, the deadline, newest, sponsored title. You can see everything here. And to narrow down your search, you can use all these different filters over here. I will just highlight a couple. I wanted to highlight application types. You can choose to add or remove any of the following. For example, if you're not a student, you can get rid of the undergrad and graduate. Maybe you're, well, actually, let's see what that did first. So that brought it down by a few results. You can see the different choices here on the side. There are certain funding opportunities for workshops and conferences, but if you're looking for research that is of no interest to you, if you're not a postdoc, so there's a lot of different filters that you can add, and it just keeps dropping your results. So when you're doing your search, setting up your search, you want to go through these filters and remove or add the important ones, or remove the ones that have nothing to do with what you want. Another way to reduce these overwhelming numbers is to do the advanced keyword search. So again, here's my cursor over on this button on the right-hand side, advanced keyword search. So you can include additional words. Say you want only alcohol. You can add that. You can remove words. So if there's anything that you want to look at, substance abuse with alcohol, but maybe you want it for, I don't know, youth, or maybe adults, you could add words to the key phrases or remove certain words. You can see here that the results list significantly, I added one keyword. So I really like these search functions, being able to add words and remove words from the search. And I want to point out that if you're looking at certain grants, say you're scrolling down and you see a certain grant and you're like, oh, wow, I don't want anything to do with that particular grant. If you hover your mouse, this little button at the bottom appears. I'll move back and forth so you can see it. And it says exclude from your search. You can click on that, and then you have to choose a reason. And now that's been removed from your search. Now, once you have a search, I'm gonna use this example here because it's NIH and I'm familiar with that sponsor. So for the purpose of using Grant for it, it'll just help if I know the sponsor. So when you want to look at it, you can click, and now it brings you to a detailed page about this particular opportunity. By clicking the button on the right, application URL, this will take you to the sponsor's application site, as well as, oh, well, I'll just click on it so you can see. Takes you right to the NIH solicitation. And for me, it actually opened up a new tab. For me to go back, I'm just going to click this other tab back. And if you click opportunity source, oh, actually, just kidding, it's the same tab. So some different opportunities, it might take you to two different locations, the specific solicitation, and then maybe the sponsor website, depending on how it's coded. So, and when you want to move back to your save list, there is a button over here on the left. I'm moving my mouse that says go back. So you want to use that and not your like Google go back button. You want to use right what's in Grant Forward. And I'm just going to scroll down and highlight a couple things when you look at the detailed page. You want to pay attention to the deadline, of course. Provide some submission information. If there was past awards that were funded under this grant, it'll show you that. And what I like is this: users who viewed this opportunity also viewed. This is a really nice feature. I feel like it's my Amazon shopping page. You know how when you're on Amazon, and I am addicted, if I search certain things, fun things, I'll get recommendations of what other people searched. And actually, I found some other things that I ended up buying, of course, but it's nice to see what else they're looking at, because this might help with your search. And look at this right here. Here's your program officer. You don't even have to leave the website. Again, just want to put another emphasis on it. Reach out to the program officer, share your idea. They are a great resource. Okay. So with this particular opportunity, this is the one we're looking at, one opportunity. You can export this into a list. One of the options is Excel, so you can export into Excel. You can mark it as favorite, like, oh, I really love this. You can share it with your colleagues. You could share it with SRS, or you could add it to a list, which I'll talk about later, how to build a list. If you're on this page here, the main search screen, you could also add to favorites by using the star, or add it to a list by using this tag image. If I choose this as favorite, again, I can click the star, or if I'm in the individual page, I could click add to favorites. When you want to view it, you would scroll up. Now, since I'm already in the grants tab, the drop-down options are now listed on a second bar of tabs. So you would go to grant lists. And there it is. In the favorite category, what we just marked. Now, if I go back to my search, say I want to tag this one to start building a different list, you can name it whatever you want. Let's just say substance abuse, and I used alcohol. You can assign it a color. Pink's my favorite, so we'll use that for the example. So on the screen page, you'll see it. It's right under the grant. You'll see a nice pink bar. You can't miss it. But when you start building a list, you're going to have multiple grants, and you can build several. You could keep adding anything. You can tag anything to your list, and it's the same location as the favorites. If you scroll up and click on the grant lists tab, you now have on the left-hand side a favorite section and your list section with the title and the colored tag. So it's really up to you if you want to use the favorites. I like the building lists better because you can color code it. I do use paper files, and I color code my paper files. So I really love the color coding. And as you build more, you'll see more boxes appear. So I'm just going to mark one more. I just want to show you a different category. Now, since we already created one, you can see that our first list appears, but if we want to add a new list, I'm just going to call it new list, and I'm going to assign it a different color because I want to show you on the grants lists how you'll see your list building on the left-hand side here. You got your favorite, and you can see the different color coding. You can click back and forth on them. So that's a really nice feature. I do like being able to create categories. Okay, again, I'm just reviewing my notes. There's so many features and I highlighted the ones that I wanted to showcase today. I'm going to go back to your whole entire search list because I want to note that you can see up here, here's my mouse, where right next to the sort by, there's also an export button that I want to talk about. So of these 110 results, I can export that into different formats. The .csv is Excel. You can choose how many you want to export. And then what fields you want to appear as columns in your Excel sheet. I strongly encourage you to go through this and really only pick the crucial topics that you want, because looking for grants is already overwhelming. And if you export this whole thing into Excel with all these columns, it's overwhelming and you don't need that information. There's a lot of information that you can get rid of. So I would say, definitely choose your options. There is also an option to save your search. So if I click there, I could save this search. You could title it whatever you want. And this is another place where for just this list, you can choose when you want alerts if new things are added to your list. The system will automatically, based on your search criteria, add more opportunities to your list. So you can get alerts never, every day, every Monday, or every first day of the month. Right now, I'm just going to say don't send an email because this is Bob's account. So I don't want him to get a million emails. Then after you have a search, and you can save as many searches as you want. So when you choose the title of your search, be specific for yourself so you can easily find your searches. So when you're ready to bring up a saved search, you can go back up to the top, and under your grants tab, you'll see save searches. If you go back to the search grant opportunities where your main search is, you could load a search right under the save/load button. And this is a new feature. And this drop down is what you have added. So again, this is why you want to pick really good titles that are descriptive. You could choose to make it a default if you want. Okay, I think, let me just consult my notes here. I think I went over what I wanted to before opening it up for questions. I wanted to leave some time for questions. There are other features that I didn't talk about, and you can find them in the researcher guide that I will share with you, such as there's sharing a grant, where again, I mentioned there's a whole section on sharing a grant to colleagues. There's sections where you can check out pre-solicitations. I'll click on it. You could search pre-solicitations. You can search awarded projects. You can search sponsors. And I'm not going into detail on this because there's so many capabilities that Grant Forward has that, again, I don't want to overwhelm you. And to me, those are searches that once you start to get a feel for Grant Forward and take a deeper dive, that's when you would use these other functions. So the main thing is create your account. Please create an account and update your research profile. You don't need to do that before you start searching, but I do encourage you to create a researcher portfolio or profile, because it will only help with your searches, and people can search you. You can use this tool to help build collaborations. It just has unlimited uses. So I'm going to go back to the home screen here. Now there is a section, updates. I'm actually not sure if RIT adds their own updates here, but it would be the people that would do it who manage Grant Forward is SRS. So you might see something here. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing anything on Bob's, and I'm not sure what dictates that, but okay. Okay, so I'm reading a question in the chat from Bob, asking for clarification on when he is doing a search versus when the system does a search. I haven't tested this out yet, so I'm not actually sure what happens behind the scenes, but in the guide, it just says that your saved search, so for example, the substance abuse alcohol search that we did, when new opportunities come into Grant Forward, because opportunities are always being updated in the system, it will flag one if it falls into your search criteria of that specific search. This doesn't relate back to the researcher profile. It relates to the actual safe search, as far as I understand. So if you have your safe search, substance abuse, specifically alcohol, then if NIH has this new opportunity that has all those keywords, it's going to get added to your search list, and you will get an email with, it's almost like a digest version.
All right, hi. If you don't mind, I want to emphasize this part because it is so crucial. Now, I admit I'm used to the U of R's old system for this kind of thing. I haven't used Grant Forward, embarrassingly enough. But my point is that time is very well spent in constructing a search, because then once you've constructed the search, the Grant Forward will know that and will tell you when new opportunities come in. That's what's crucial, in my opinion, because you don't have to keep going in and searching and searching. For an example, in my research, I tend to do mental health stuff, I tend to do interpreting stuff, and I tend to do deaf public health stuff, like health disparities. So if I made 3 searches on those 3 topics, and I only did it once, then I would start getting emails from Grant Forward that says, oh, hey, Bob, we got a new interpreting opportunity you might want to look at, or a new mental health opportunity you might want to look at. That's what's really key. So I want everybody to understand that you don't have to go searching every single time, as long as you've spent a careful time creating your, I don't know what word to use, your main type of search, or the main 2 or 3 types of searches that you really care about. The second thing I'll say about that is to not be too broad in what your search is looking for. When I was at the U of R, I would put in for my search on their system, like deaf and mental health and stuff. And then every week I'd get a list of 30 or 40 grants. It was just too much because my search was not narrow enough. So what I would suggest when you're playing with this is to try to keep your search pretty narrow, unless you want to get a list of 20 grants every week. So those are the 2 things I'm saying. And Lori, I want your opinion on what I'm saying. And just to repeat myself, I'm saying, spend your time creating a couple of search approaches well, and then the Grant Forward will start doing the work for you. And secondly, don't make your search too broad or it'll just be overwhelming. I'd like your opinion on those two things, please.
Bob, thank you. And I love that you turned your video on so we could see you. Thank you. Yes, I agree 100% with both of those. And in fact, I purposely didn't use the research that Bob did, even though it's Bob's profile, because of how broad it was. I wanted to just kind of show a little bit more focus. But Bob is right. You need to take the time to develop your search, because that's what the system is going to do for you. The system can only work as good as the information that you provide it. Thank you, Bob. Yes. Jill made a comment that the FDO is now called Candid. I didn't hear that yet. And when I went to look for the link, it still was called FDO. So I will go ahead and research that and include that information in the email that goes out to participants. Thank you, Jill. We have another question saying that it looks like you can search grants without signing up or logging in. Is it necessary to establish an account? You can't use all the features without an account. And I know where your question's coming from. This is Gretchen. She is from the University of Rochester. She joins us for our PI Prime Times. Gretchen, good to see you here. Thank you for coming. So U of R has a subscription to a different database, but it has similar capabilities. And if you want me to reach out to any of my contacts to find that information for you and get you the link to create an account, I can do that. But for Grant Forward, in order to use all the special features, you will need an account. But yes, U of R has their own subscription to one. It used to be called Pivot, PIVOT, but I think they may have changed it. But yes, check with U of R and use the system that they have. While I'm waiting for more questions to come in, I will show you, if you go to the last tab called Supports, this is where you'll find your guides, tutorials, if there's webinars, the Grant Forward YouTube channel. Again, I think it's my generation. I can't believe it has its own YouTube channel. I'm a little bit older, so all the, using all the social media and stuff just blows my mind. I'm going to show you, while we're waiting for some more questions to come in, I will show you what the guide actually looks like. Now, there is two different guides. There's an administrative guide and a researcher guide. The reason I used Bob to create an account is because I already have an account, but it's an administrator account. So the tabs are different and things look different on my account. So that's why I needed a guinea pig, aka Bob. Thank you, Bob. So when you're looking at stuff, you want to remember that you want to look at the content for the researcher. So you can see it was just updated in September. It has 23 pages. And it says right across the top, Researcher Welcome Guide. Whereas the guide that I look at says, I think it says Administrator Welcome Guide. So just make sure you're on all the researcher items. And again, it goes through a lot of the items I already went through. And I'm just going to scroll so you can see that it shows actual screenshots. I just love their material. And I think it's because by nature, I'm a very organized person. And when I try to explain step-by-step things to faculty, I have created documents with screenshots. I've always done this for years. I feel this is the easiest way, especially when you don't know a database. Why not show the screenshot? So I love Grant Forward's material. They also have links embedded into the PDF. So you can link to some of their tutorials. And again, just a reminder, some of their tutorials, if they don't have closed captioning button, it's because there is no sound. Could a busy researcher assign this type of search function to a lab assistant or student to do? It could even be a great teaching or mentoring experience. I love how the question contains busy researcher. I'm pretty sure that applies to all researchers. I know that you are all very busy, but this brings up a great question. I'm going to dive more in because I have an administrative account. I know that I can create, I have capabilities to create profiles, I think. I'm not sure about the actual searches. I think maybe I could. So I am not sure if a student who creates a student profile could actually create the search for the faculty without being on their account, but they could do their own search and then they could share specific opportunities. I'm not sure if they could share the whole entire search. So that's something that I would have to look into. I think that it might be able to, because this database is so user-friendly and it's all about being able to help other people out and to do things for each other. So let me see. And if you did share an opportunity, a specific opportunity, you could find the list of what you did share under your grants tab, the tab called shared. It would list everything that you shared. You can even customize the message when you share it. And you can customize, what it says in the actual email, and it will provide the link. So if you can't share a whole entire search, since I'm unsure of that, yes, students or lab assistants could do the search on their own account and send specific opportunities. I think that actually might be a better approach than sharing the whole a whole search list, because then the faculty would still have to go through all of them. But so yes, this to answer Bob, yes, they can share opportunities. You can also see that when I'm in the grants tab and it lists all the tabs under it, there is a separate COVID-19 tab, because this is the world we live in now. So you can search just COVID related opportunities as well. While we're waiting for questions too, Nancy, if you wouldn't mind putting the evaluation link in the chat now, that would be great. Nancy, we'll put an evaluation link. Thank you, Nancy. So please feel free to click on the evaluation link. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is our last PI prime time of the semester. So we are already building the topics for next semester, and we have good topics. We're excited for that. We'll do a save the date that will list all the upcoming topics, probably early January. And in the evaluation, there's a section that if there's any other topics you can think of, please put ideas in the evaluation. You can email me directly. I'm always here if you have a question about anything. If you need help with Grant Forward, reach out to me. If you're not sure if you should reach out to SRS, the other department I mentioned, you can reach out to me. I am your NTID resource for anything grants. If you don't even know who to contact and you have something that you don't even know, should I ask Lori? The answer is yes, ask Lori, because if I don't know the right direction to point you, I will go find out for you. So please reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. And I do want to give a shout out to our interpreters and our captionists today. Thank you so much for being here and doing such a wonderful job. Aaron just gave some feedback and he said from his experience, it is essential to get your filters just right. Thank you, Aaron, for bringing that up. That falls in line with what Bob was saying as well. So hearing more people say that just reiterates how crucial it is. If you want the system to work for you, really take the time to fill out the filters and focus your search. Thank you, Aaron. Any other comments, feedback? Well, I think that's it today. Again, thank you, interpreters and captionists. If I don't see some of you, happy Thanksgiving next week. I hope everybody has time with friends or family. And not to scare anybody, I heard that there's potentially snow in the forecast. So bundle up. I will be inside with my hot cocoa and fireplace because I don't love snow. So I hope everybody enjoys their weekend and holiday. Thank you.